Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey,
How you guys
you.
doing?
I'm okay.
Good, good.
I'm trying to get this thing to work and it's not working. But anyways, I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. You guys loving
Technology
winter round
just
three?
teases me sometimes. Pardon me?
So are you guys enjoying winter round three?
Good old Berta, you know? Good old
Gotta love it.
Berta.
Yeah, gotta
Gotta
love it.
love it.
Tim, what's going on in your world?
Nothing. Staying alive, working, doing what I got to do, I guess.
I hear ya.
Same old.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Weird.
Still not working?
I don't know anymore.
No. Okay. Did you guys watch the All-Star game?
No, you know what? This is like one of the first times that I haven't like watched anything during All-Star weekend.
Right? Like I totally forgot it was on, honestly.
Like I don't know, like yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's just I didn't watch the 3-point contest. I didn't watch the dunk contest. I didn't watch, East versus West.
Yeah,
Nothing really. Like I saw like a few highlights, but nothing crazy. So
yeah, same here. I saw a lot
yeah.
of memes saying that the dunk contest was crazy boring.
I heard that it wasn't very good. They said it was like the worst one of all time.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Green, is that his name? I think.
Oh, did it?
He I think he only did like round one and did like 9 or 10 attempts at his dunk.
Oh,
So
wow.
when he did execute it, it was pretty nice, but yeah.
After the third
So
time, you're
he
just
says
like,
he'd love
okay,
to have another year to kind of redeem himself. So, but
okay. Well, we will see what
he's a pretty
happens.
decent rookie though. I like him as a player, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't
But when
know,
you
but
take
I can't
nine
really say
attempts,
much.
though, when you take 9 attempts,
I
it's
think
kind
that's
of,
what they said, yeah.
yeah,
Between 8 to 10 attempts. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
yeah.
He's a good player though.
Nate
Oh, yeah.
Robinson won years ago and he took 1,000 attempts. They wanted him to win.
Who?
That makes sense.
Nate,
I could see that story.
Nate Robinson. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with the height and
Hmm.
everything.
Yeah, when
I
you're.
could see why they wanted that to go in his favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Just
since the
looking at
All-Star game came and went, was that was that the one where Macy Gray was singing the national anthem?
Yep.
Oh,
See, I didn't even see that.
she
I didn't see
sounded.
it either. I heard about it.
I saw
LeBron James
clips of it.
apparently was laughing.
Yeah, and
He
there
was
were. It's
laughing, sorry?
LeBron.
He was laughing while she was singing?
yeah,
Yeah. But she was
Oh.
just being Macy Gray,
I was gonna
apparently.
say, I mean,
yeah.
I
I'll
A
have
don't.
lot of
to
Why
people.
check
on
that out
earth
later.
would you get Macy Gray to sing the anthem? Like it's Macy Gray. Like
Exactly.
Well,
the anthem is usually its own vibe at these big events.
Hmm.
true. I
So I find
saw
that kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I saw like a clip, I think it was today, with like her and Jennifer Hudson and Dave Chappelle. I'm assuming it had
Oh,
to have been from that because I don't know the last time I saw Macy Gray anywhere
yeah.
on something or pop up on my timeline. So it had to have been from that
Yeah,
then.
it was from that.
And she was just like hugging, like Jennifer Hudson was almost like she put her in like a headlock.
Yeah, I saw that.
You should have seen her. It was just so funny. And like there's just so much happening in that one little clip. And like Dave Chappelle's like in his own little world. Like it's pretty
Yeah,
funny. And then
yeah.
someone was commenting, they're like, this is what happens when you have 3 Virgos. Like the same picture or video. But it was pretty funny.
Oh
So
my
but I'll
goodness.
definitely have to look up the video with
Yeah,
her singing the national anthem because
it
I
was
actually didn't
literally.
even know she sang.
Yeah, I only noticed that, realized that because it was all over my Instagram feed because everyone was saying that was singing like a drunk aunt at
Oh
a
my goodness.
birthday party or something.
Hmm.
And I listened to it, and I was like,
Probably. Well, I don't know.
if you close your eyes, you can kind of hear it, but it's Macy Gray. So I mean,
Yeah, it's Macy Gray.
yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. What else happened this weekend? I think that was it. Oh, Kanye West thing came out yesterday.
What Kanye West
What
thing?
thing?
Donda too. He had a listening thing yesterday.
Oh, you know what? There was someone on my Instagram who was at that concert.
Oh.
Or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was Donda too.
They were there, so.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
And I guess Apple was offering him $100 million to stream it. But look, I didn't know this, that Kanye West had his own tech company. Did not know this. I guess he has this this thing called STEM. So it's a little round box or circular thing, and you can stream it from there, and you can make music from it. So if you hear a song, you can take out the vocals or take out the drums, or keep the vocals and the drums, and it's interesting. So I guess he sold.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, he sold 10,000 of them in 3 days for $200 each.
How many did he sell?
10,000 in 3 days. And still selling.
Huh.
Yeah. And still selling.
Interesting.
Very interesting. I'll have to check that out too. I feel so out of the loop. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on.
I'm telling you, Instagram is my best friend for getting news like this.
I actually haven't really been on the gram too much. So I open the app for maybe like a few minutes and that's it. At least that's how it's been lately.
Right.
This past week. So yeah.
Well, on that note, let's get started. Hello, good evening, good night, good morning, wherever you're watching. Welcome to Let's Be Real. I am your host, Danielle George, along with your host, Mr. Noel and Kiki. On this show, we usually talk about small businesses, relationships, current events, and issues. Relationships seems to be a hot topic with us, so we'll kind of keep it in there. So throughout the show, we want you guys to comment, ask questions, tell us your views. The show is about you, about us. Let's get ready to be real. So, pew, 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 pew.
Oh, I didn't even say happy hump day. I'm sorry.
Oh,
told you guys I'm out of it today. I'm just tired. I don't know what it is.
It's okay. It's honestly, this whole week, it's just been draining. Like, I feel like I'm trying to get through the day.
I think maybe the weather has a part to play in that, but we had to keep pushing.
We had a taste of spring, and then all of a sudden winter just decided to say, just kidding, I'm back. I never left.
That's everything for you.
Yeah, exactly. And we can't burn out just yet. We got a busy rest of the week coming up here. So yeah, we got to keep pushing. We got work to do.
I know. Saturday's going to be a long day. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
What time? Okay,
and before,
you know what? I'll ask you guys questions after.
Before Saturday comes Friday. So
yeah. Friday's going to be a long night. Anyway. I don't know if you guys heard about the police shooting in Calgary. I believe it was yesterday or 2 days ago.
Was it over the weekend?
Was it over the weekend? Sunday?
Yes. Why do I think it was Friday or Saturday? Hold on. Let me double check that.
It was Sunday. I mean, it was Saturday.
To be honest, I just saw people when someone shares like a post or something. I just saw his his picture, and I'm like, who is this person? Because the first couple times that I saw it shared, I was like, I don't know what this is. I didn't click on it right away until later in the day, and then I read the post by the daughter.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm just trying to. I don't know if you have the details right there with you. I'm just trying to look it up as well here. Okay.
I can kind of talk a bit about it. There was a video that went. I just saw the video first, where this guy.
The video.
Yeah, so there was this guy, I think that it looked like four cop cars, and he had a stick in his hand trying to either like fend the police off or attack them. It just looked weird. And then all of a sudden you hear four
Mm-hmm.
gunshots. So first thing in my mind, I'm like, this person is either having a mental break or they're on something because you don't see the full video. So you don't know if
Mm-hmm.
if they did the taser first and he just wasn't reacting to that. Like you don't see anything. All of a sudden you hear four shots and then the camera goes dark. And
Apparently,
then
apparently he advanced on the officers with a knife,
mhm,
and was shot with four rounds.
yeah. It didn't even look like a
Hmm.
knife, it looked like a tree branch, honestly.
Well, the post that I saw, I think, which was on the daughter's page, I believe,
Hmm.
had said that he was holding a stick, and I think I read that there was like a like one of those police dogs, and they
Right.
said that it attacked him, and then he was using the stick to, get the dog off his leg or whatever. So I don't know. Obviously, we're still getting details about the whole situation, but just based
Mhm.
off what I saw on my timeline, it seems like a lot of people were upset about the entire situation, which is why it caught my attention.
Yeah.
Um, and I believe in the post that I did see by the daughter, I think she did um, kind of hint that there was some sort of um, mental issue
Mhm.
going on during that whole situation, and
Yeah.
she just felt like, the system failed her father, and the response to that situation, using lethal force, um obviously wasn't the best approach.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing an article here. It says Calgary's mayor challenges the use of lethal force over the weekend to the police response to this particular situation. It says the fatal weekend shooting of a man by the Calgary Police Service has prompted Calgary's mayor to question the use of lethal force and call for the adoption of mental health supports, which I guess kind of answers the question that, there was obviously some issue with mental health
Hmm.
surrounding this situation. I'm not too sure how to pronounce his name. Latjer Tuel, 41, was shot dead near the intersection of 45th Street and 17th Avenue Southeast Saturday afternoon during a police response to reports of an assault at the hands of an armed man. Whoops. And then there's a little video clip, but it also says the Calgary police chief and mayor are weighing in on the situation. And like I said, it just seems like, there's a lot of details that they're trying to address right
Hmm.
now. But based on the information that is out there and what you guys have seen or heard about the situation, what are your thoughts on the situation based off the information that we have currently?
For me, it's just anger. Because I've seen a video months before, pretty much the same thing, a white guy attacking the police with a stick, and they
Okay.
literally just knock him down. So I don't know why they couldn't have done the same thing.
Okay.
Like,
Actually, okay, hold on here. I found
mhm,
another article here. Global Calgary. Okay, so it says the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team said Tuesday that Tuel 41 was holding a stick and a knife, adding a witness reported he hit someone with the stick. And then it says that it was not a mental health call. It says because someone was struck. It says that police were responding to an assault call in a busy public place, not a mental health call. It says with the situation and information that was provided to the Calgary 911, this situation involved a person armed with weapons who had committed an assault. This was a police call, and police were use the appropriate resources. So that is the current response. It says, as long as the person is in possession of weapons and there isn't a productive dialogue that can actually lead toward the person relinquishing those, that's a very significant crisis situation, which makes it very difficult for mental health professionals or other professionals to do important work that they do. It also says that the officers did not know of Tuel's mental health issues. It says a lot was reported in the days that followed in relation to his personal situation. Now, one thing to understand, though, is that the police officers responding to this call and calls like it did not have the benefit of any of the information, I guess, that has been shared since his passing and since the situation occurred. It says what they did know is that an individual was in possession of weapons and had committed an assault. Officers arrived and surrounded Tuel from a distance, telling him to drop the knife. He ignored the police directions, and it said officers less lethal. Hold on. Okay, so it says less lethal weapons were used. So it says baton rounds, a taser, and a police service dog was used without success, and the dog's handler pulled the animal back as Tuel advanced in their direction. And then it says, in the ensuing altercation, the man swung the stick and stabbed the knife at the dog while the dog bit the man, and officers used conductive energy weapons. Says Jack was stabbed in the neck and rushed to the emergency vet hospital. So that's the dog. Says police previously said the dog was in stable condition. Says while attacking the dog, the man continued to move toward the officers. 2 officers discharged their service weapons, striking the man. EMS provided medical care, but Tuel was pronounced dead at the scene. Okay.
So what if the guy was deaf?
How would they know?
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I'll tell you,
So-
I just would never. I've been working with cops for 17 years, and there's not a chance I'd want to do their job.
Yeah, for sure.
I just wouldn't want to do that job. You got to make. So here I am. Here's somebody that's not listening. Here's somebody who you're trying to work with, and all of a sudden now you definitely got to be like the psychologist or a psychic to know what their previous life situation was. I think there's a failure in the systems, in the systems that help people that actually know their backgrounds, like the mental health systems, the immigration systems. Fine, you're taking people in as refugees, but what are you going to do? Like, you give them a pat on the shoulder, say, here you go, now welcome to Canada, all your problems are solved. Somebody, that is armed and they've tried some of their other things. When people are kind of crazed, tasers sometimes don't necessarily work. I just would not want to be in that position. I got 4 kids, and then some guys, and all I know, he's just a bad guy. He's a guy that hit somebody over there, and he doesn't really give a care about me. Yeah. What are you going to do? I'm going to choose between me getting seriously injured and my children. No, like that. I've had this conversation with them. I'm like, I wouldn't do it because like I'm telling you, that's why I'm not one, because I don't think any amount of training would have been like, okay, yeah, I'm going to react in milliseconds of time when somebody's lunging towards me and could potentially attack. No, listen, and I get it. I believe this too, in regards to they are the trained ones, and so they're the ones that are saying, you should be, if I'm going to be a police officer, I should be able to react in these instances. But the training itself is what let's say allows them to take the actions that they've taken. It's not necessarily after the George Floyd thing. I had a long conversation with one of the members that I've known for some years, and it's not necessarily like Calgary Police or EPS or even the RCMP. When they go to court and when they try these things, they're trying it against the Canadian Criminal Code. And the criminal code is what dictates how you respond to these situations. So, when they go through it, and then there's this checklist and there's video to say, this is what was happening, this is what we tried, and we tried this, and we tried this, and we tried this, and then he did that. Like, they're going to come up and they're going to say, and they're going to say, well, hey, we did what we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My thought is, you said the mayor is talking or wants to do the mental health thing. So do they have to go to every call then? Like, how is that going to work? Like, because they didn't know he was going through a mental break. You know what I mean?
Sorry, what was your question?
I don't think it would have changed anything.
No.
Whether they knew that he was having a mental episode or not.
Yeah, because they wanted a mental health check.
Like an
person.
evaluation.
Yeah. Do they have to go to every call, even though they weren't even called for mental health?
I don't.
Well,
See, that's just
right?
it. Like, based on the article, they're saying, that they tried like different methods of non-lethal weapons, and it didn't work. And basically, the article is just saying that they saw a threat, and it was in a public area, and the methods that they were using didn't work. He was still approaching them after the methods that they tried, and then that's how the situation resulted, unfortunately, with him dying. But again, like Tim said, I definitely wouldn't want to be put in that situation. And I always say never, because we can sit here as outsiders looking in, but until you're in the hot seat, or until you're the person in that situation, you don't really know how you'd react necessarily. Again, public place, there's different people around. The article said he hit someone else. The police dog is now injured and stabbed. The situation is escalating.
Like, if a guy's gonna stab a police dog, he's gonna stab a cop too. That's my opinion. That's what I think.
Then that's what I mean.
Like, you're not when you're dealing with in a situation like that, 9 times out of 10, a person's going to be like, oh snap, there's all these cops around me. And I'm not necessarily it's not even about defending or agreeing or anything like that. I talk about my take is about me. If I was that's why I would never want to do the job. You know what I mean? That's just me not wanting to do the job. But the Canadian Criminal Code is what these guys do their jobs by. And I don't see anybody protesting the criminal code, right? We're going to talk about the cop. We're talking about this, and we're going to be all displeased about the outcome if this ever goes to court, or when ACERT takes a look at it. We could disagree with all they want, but the standards by which it's judged, that's where things have to change. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't seen the videos. I haven't looked at this. I just know that every time, every time this happens, like, we know about the injustices. We know about all the way from, I would want to say Trayvon Martin, but that wasn't a police officer, but George Floyd, Mike Brown, and all these people that we've seen over the years. There's a difference between, here's a guy, I can't remember his name right now. There's a guy sitting in his car, tells the cop, I have a load, I have a gun, I have my documentation to prove it, and gets shot with his wife and his kids in the car. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between that and here's somebody that's in a public place, is surrounded by police and has a knife. Like, do you know what I mean? You want to go and disarm them when a taser didn't do anything, at least from what Kiki read? Like, Tell you this, I wouldn't. So just be glad I'm not a cop.
And Tanya said in the comments, think what's hard is not just Black, but he was clearly needing
But
mental health
this is
support.
what I was saying. If we're talking about anything that failed here, it's not necessarily the police until let's say until that's investigated, but it's like all the things that lead to
There's
this.
a lot of factors in
Like all the
into
things
this.
that lead to you know what, like what's the statistic of most of the people who are homeless are have mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
What's there for that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And is there something there for that? And do you just wait for them to have the realization, or do you go and you get them? But then how does that get funded when it's like $180 an hour? How do you do that? When the psychologists, the counselors, the psychiatrists, those guys all have to feed their families. Like the system itself needs to get reworked. You know what I mean? And it produces this. I'll never forget. Not to like take up too much time, but I'll never forget when I had court. I had to go to court for just for some stuff with my separation and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I parked my car, and there's a Black guy standing in the middle of 104th Avenue, right outside the Edmonton Police Headquarters. Because I'm parking over there to walk, and this guy's standing in the middle of the road and like swinging and making gestures and doing all this stuff. This is right outside the Brownlee building, right?
Right.
And so I park my car, and I walk up to the man, and I'm like, "Yo, come out of the road. You're right beside the police station. These guys they're gonna see you. They're gonna come get you, and I don't want you to get hurt." And he's like, "Nah, brother, I'm fine. Another guy comes, and we're both talking to him. And then, of course, the police that are right over there, they come, they see him, they take him away. I'm talking to the other fella, and that guy knows of this man in this area, right? And he goes to, I think it's the Bissell Center that's just right up the road.
Yeah.
And that day, they weren't taking in anybody because it was like their team building day. And so, according to this guy literally created a disturbance, probably just to get a shelter over his head and food. So what he was doing there was doing it there to get arrested, because that was the way for him to get something to eat and I'm sitting there like, and I'm walking into this thing and I'm thinking like, I got problems, right?
Right.
But the little avenues that are there for, it's like that place closes, this guy has nowhere to go. He obviously has mental health issues on top of what other issues he's dealing with, and it's just like, this is a segment of society that a lot of people don't really, unless you see it on TV, or unless you see it, it doesn't exist, you know. And so we could talk about the cops all day. White, black, yellow, red. We could talk about it all day. But there's a lot that goes wrong before it gets there. I know about, yes, the guys get disarmed, you know, statistically, let's say, I would assume, statistically, we could talk about the United States and the situation that Greg's talking about, or the white guy that gets disarmed. Where did he get disarmed? Are you talking about here in Edmonton? Or are you talking about in the United States? Because I'm thinking like, oh, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah.
There's so much I got, you know, I could, yeah. Anyways, I'll talk about this on my own maybe. Because like, I could sit and talk about this all day. But anyways. If we're going to talk about it, black people here aren't black people like in the United States. You want to start talking about mask with cheese. You want to start talking about You want to start talking about assumption. You want to start talking about
I'm gonna say yes and no to that statement about Black people here, not kind of sharing the same experiences as people in the States.
I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not saying that we're frolicking in through the meadows here, but in any case. In any
Well,
case.
then, we will move on, I guess.
Yes, topic for another day.
Topic for another day. We always have those kind of topics, though. Kiki, you shared with me, I don't know if you can bring it up, Miss Alabama, Zoe Soso passed away from falling from a third floor building. I briefly read something that they noticed blunt force trauma before she fell.
I didn't see that. I honestly just saw the main
main
headline.
thing. Yeah.
But it just caught my attention because, not too long ago, the same thing did happen. To a previous Black pageant winner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, it caused some people to raise some eyebrows.
Of course.
And the internet, they run with things. So
yeah.
Hold on here.
Yeah. And they were saying something that she was also dealing with mental health as well. I believe I saw that somewhere. So it's just like in the back of my mind, I'm like, so what are they doing to these girls to make them?
What I saw is that it was ruled an accident.
Yeah,
that's what the headline said.
Yeah.
February 11th at 12:05 a.m. Miami Police Department officers responded to a call of a possible suicide attempt. Authorities told people in a statement their preliminary investigation revealed that the victim, who was identified as a 27-year-old, fell out of a third-floor window. Bethel, who was crowned Miss Alabama for America's Strong 2021, was transported by Miami Fire Rescue to Jackson Memorial Hospital in critical condition, where she succumbed to her injuries on Friday. According to an autopsy report from the Miami-Dade County Medical Examiner obtained by People, her cause of death is listed as complications of blunt head injury. And they said that the manner of her death was accidental. It says this was a tragic accident and no foul play is suspected. And that's basically all that was said. But again, because there was a similar situation about a month ago now, a few weeks ago.
Something is fishy.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Someone's like, who is going in and doing something to these girls? Someone's like, is someone drugging them? Is someone, and
but in the same manner, like even if she turned up dead, it'd still be like, what the heck? But then in the same way,
right? Like it's not like, I don't know. It's not like they found her inside. It's not like it was ruled a drug overdose or she fell out of a window. Like fell to her death, Black pageant winner. Again, it could just be a coincidence, but it's kind of like, what's going on here?
Exactly.
So
it's
But
I'm
again,
just saying.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't wish this on anyone, but if I hear it again, it's definitely something fishy.
Well, they say those sorts of things comes in threes, but I'm really hoping that
it doesn't.
Not the case, and I really hope it is just a coincidence, and it was just a tragic accident. Because if something does happen, then they gotta.
I want to know how many people die from falling off of balconies, like adults, and then
I think it probably happens fairly. I just think because of who they are, their status. Is why we're hearing about it. But I believe people fall to their death every day. But who knows?
Kiki, you have a balcony? Please don't go on your balcony.
I actually live on the third floor too, so let's not get any Let's
We are
let's not
lock.
put
I
that
next
let's not put that kind of energy out
next
there.
time I come over, I'm locking you. I'm blocking that balcony. You're
It's
not
too
going out there.
cold to be on my balcony, anyways. So
Okay,
my balcony ain't seeing me anytime soon.
good.
Not for a few months yet. So,
Even then, for a few years,
but it is
you're not
sad
going out
because
there.
she's my age basically.
Yeah,
So when I saw that this morning, I was like, what? I was like, what is going on here? So,
yeah,
but again, and initially they did say they thought it was a suicide attempt, and then that just kind of circles back around to mental health and mental health in young females, I guess, or
hmm
just women in general.
yeah,
A
for sure.
couple weeks ago, we kind of touched on mental health in men, but
hmm
you know, it's just interesting to see, and it kind of makes you think like, what are some of the things that's causing, aside from like, chemical imbalances in the brain and stuff
hmm
like that, there's obviously other factors like social media and those sorts of things.
Yeah,
And then you kind of put the pandemic into the mix, and then it's like, you know, it's like a vicious cocktail, and yeah, it's sad to see, because how old was was she Miss USA? She was
I think so.
like 30, 31 or
Yeah, young
something like that.
30s. Yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of, mental health is something that I am aware of. I always think about.
hmm
But kind of getting up in age and seeing it s- affect people who are in my age group.
yeah,
Um, it is scary in a sense, because I have my off days and days where I'm a little bummed out, and we all have our highs and lows and stuff, but you just don't know what could be your tipping point.
right,
And seeing it happen to successful, beautiful, you know girls who, on paper people think, they have it all. um it is a bit disheartening, and it's a bit scary, because in a way it's like, when you hear about these things, it's like you don't really know, like, if this is something that could come knocking on your door, sort of thing.
right. hmm
um so it's something that I think about.
Yeah.
I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that, but
Do you think, as a female or a female of color, we have such a high standard from like social media and the news that we feel like we need to live by, or the pressures of social media that we need to live by? Do you think that's
yeah.
kind of putting that into effect of depression and the feeling of you're not good enough?
Social media always plays a part. um right now we're just bombarded by so much, and
hmm
like these apps that we're on, like they say, like, this is the standard, this is the standard, this is the standard, and there are people, with their voices in the corner, who are saying like, no, this isn't the way things have to be and stuff, but it's kind of like a majority rules situation.
Right.
So I do think, there's always been pressures throughout history. There's always been pressures, but in this day and age, it's just
hmm
it's a different ball game,
Yeah.
you know.
It's more in your
And
face, for sure.
yeah, and
Yeah.
although there is more awareness about these things, I don't think that there's enough support at this point. Like, the
Right.
support is still lacking. Like, they haven't sort of met up with each other.
hmm
Like, there isn't enough support to combat the awareness, if that makes sense. Like, people are
Yeah.
now aware of these things, but how do we help those things? How do we change these things? You know,
hmm
um, how do we be proactive about those things?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and in a way, it is sad to see. Um, it is generational. I was having a conversation with a few friends of mine, but a couple weekends ago.
hmm
Um, just about like life in general, and working, and people who came before us or generations before us, even looking back like 5 to 10 years ago, when you get a job or they say, go to school, get a decent 9 to 5, like you're good.
Yeah.
And in this day and age, and especially now during the pandemic with like inflation and all those things, you're realizing that, this 9 to 5 ain't, is not cutting it. Like you got to find
Yeah.
like all these, like creative ways to like get extra money and hustle and all these like new income streams and stuff
Hmm.
just to kind of like stay afloat. So I
Yeah.
think that definitely does also play a part of the mental aspect side of things. Like, I just feel like there's way more pressure, just like even with the standard of living,
Yeah.
like there's people who, I guess you could say, do the right things. You go to school, you get a job, and then, your bills start coming in, and, you reach adulthood and these responsibilities are here. And it's just like, it kind of seems like no matter what you do, you can't really like stay afloat. I feel like all of that right now is just playing a part on people's mental health. And I feel like, you know, of course, everyone right now is feeling the pressure of that.
Hmm.
But I feel, with a generation that's just kind of coming into adulthood and coming into these new experiences, that it's a different type of pressure. Or maybe, people who are in their 20s, maybe 10 years ago, it probably it's a different ball game. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's definitely a part of it as well. But what's your guys' thoughts on all that?
Tim?
Tim? What's your thoughts? I know I kind of went like all
All over
over
the
the
place.
place, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just,
I
I
think
don't know,
that
man. It's just life.
I think we can't necessarily back to kind of just the mental health and being well. I could just I'm not qualified to speak um, for Black women, of course,
Yeah.
but from what I've seen and what I hear from a lot of my girlfriends,
Mhm.
there is a there is a pressure. Um, like I had to talk to a friend of mine, and excuse my language. I said, I said to her, you don't have to be super bitch, right? Like you just don't. She had all this pressure. She wanted to. She has this big job. She was making like $70 an hour. She didn't want to do it anymore. She was just
Right.
over it. She just wanted to do it anymore. She just wanted to be. She wanted to be a mom. She wanted to stay home and be a mom. And then all her friends was like, "You're a Black woman. You're a this. You're a that, and
You're strong and
you gotta
independent.
be
Blah,
this, and
blah,
you
blah.
can't do that. What about the?" And I'm just like, if that's not what you want to do, that's not what you want to do. You don't. Um, you like you don't owe anybody anything. If anything, you got to do what's right for you, because when you live your life and once your strength is gone and your youth is gone and all these things are gone, if you're unhappy, everyone, it's nobody's fault but yours, and no, you
Hmm.
can't point your finger at successfully at anybody.
Yeah.
So there is obviously pressures. There's also there's a some like there's a stigma of how you need to behave, and I remember growing up, like it's not like now, man. You growing up in Edmonton, um, people have this idea of what you're going to be like before they even meet you. Do you know what I mean? From my experiences, I'm a big dark Black guy. They have an idea of what I'm like, and they treat me, and I've often been treated like that, and and then and there's some that realize like, wait, this he's not what I kind of thought he was going to be, you know,
Right.
and um in whatever group you're in, sometimes there can be stereotypes, and I guess you have to get to a place where I'm going to do what I want to do for me, but that takes a bunch of strength, um, some more than others. And the thing is, like now, again, like it's the same thing tying back to the previous issue. Everyone says you should talk to a counselor, you should talk to this, you should do that, but it's not like it's easy. It's not like it's cheap, you know, and it's not like, and for some folk, like who they're going to sit down and talk to. And again, we touched on this in previous episodes, but like you may not trust them because they don't look like you or they won't understand your experience. So there's an uphill climb for this. It's easier said than done.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
But at the end of the day, easier said than done or not, it's your responsibility to take care of you, you know. And people could think whatever they want at the end of the day, you know, they think whatever they want, but you know, it's your life, you know. Yeah. But even like for me, that realization took a minute. Like it's my life. And you know, I might go do things a certain way. You might be upset. You might be sad. I might have disappointed you, but you'll get over it. You know,
or
but
not.
Even at that take,
that's
you know what I
okay
mean?
too,
That takes a certain level of strength. So, I don't, you know, we have our generation, not even our generation. We aren't in the generation where what we're talking about here was preached or even acceptable. We might have came from a generation where our parents still had ideas of what our life was supposed to be like. And we spent a certain amount of time trying to do that and then flopped. And now so my kids are coming up under something that, and that's all they know, on something that I learned, right?
Right.
And I'm trying to battle through my own experiences and my own reaction to my experiences, my reactions to my successes and failures, and passing it on to my children in this condensed form that doesn't screw them up in the ways that I was screwed up.
Right.
So it's like our parents' generation is, and their thinking has no place today unless you were super lucky to have a really progressive parent. But like at my age, your parents are elderly. Likely, if you're anywhere near my age, your parents are relatively elderly. And if they were island, they don't know nothing about the light we're coming. Like, talk to somebody. What?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You're depressed? What is that?
Right.
You know what I
Tanya
mean?
had a question. Tanya had a question. But do you think our parents looked at our generation coming up thinking the same thing?
No, they think it's too much you have. Like they're like you should be the leader of this and that with all the opportunities. If I had your opportunity, blah, da, 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 da. You know what I mean? So you don't necessarily see the struggles that came with our opportunities and with our environment.
Right.
You know, like for me, I grew up in the church, and almost none of the parents knew what it was like to be born into a lifestyle like that. And so I tell some of my church friends, I'm like, we were test tube babies. You know, we were literally test tube. These kids, what you don't understand? Like, there's these kids that are coming up that like my age group sat be like, wow, they danced at their wedding. You know how ridiculous that sounds? They're like 10 years younger than me. It's like, oh my God, they danced at their wedding? Oh my God, she had on jewelry? That was what my age group was saying, watching the guys that come up. That's how restricted and crazy that my lifestyle was. So they didn't know what it was like to be 18 or be 21 and have never done anything and never, you know, and all they were doing was shielding you from the crazy things that they did, not realizing that there's a lack of balance that's there.
Yep.
Because unless you're living this life, you don't know. And the thing about our parents, they don't want to be really told anything. Because no matter how old you get, again, unless you're super lucky you have a progressive parent, no matter how old you get, you've had more opportunity, and they seem to know life a little bit better than you, and in some ways they do.
Right.
But the new struggles that that we faced when we were coming of age, and the struggles that our children, we sometimes don't even understand the stuff our children are dealing with. Yeah. And so they definitely don't you know what I mean? How you feel with your kid, looking at your kid like, oh snap, like I don't want to screw this kid up. The thing is, I don't even know if they said that. I don't know if they even said that, because a lot of times they felt like, especially if they left the islands or left somewhere and came here, they just
Yeah.
gave you
Felt like they were
everything
doing a
because
good
they were
thing,
taught
right?
that, hey, the Canada, United States, England, those are the best places in the world. At
Yeah.
least that's from what I hear from my dad and from my mom, being from
Yeah,
Grenada.
my parents did the same thing.
Yeah.
My parents did the same thing.
You
Yeah.
know how many times I've heard you're born in this country? You know?
Yep.
And I'm like, wait a minute.
Countless times.
Think about it. I am born in this country, but you live right beside somebody born in this country.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, think about it. And then somebody born in this country that doesn't look like you, and you got some of the same stuff that they have. By that logic, that if there's a person whose family has been here for 100 years, they should be living on a hill in a mansion somewhere based on the way they think of us being here.
Yeah.
But listen, there are challenges and things and all kinds of stuff that deals with it. You guys made it, and we're trying to make it too. Anyways.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Marvin. Just to
Is
piggyback.
that Marvin, the DJ Marvin?
What up,
That's
Marvin?
DJ Marvin.
Yo, I still holding that guy up in my heart, yo. I still holding that man up in my heart.
DJ Marvin in the building.
Pew, pew,
Yes,
pew.
that's right.
Just to piggyback off what you said, my parents did the same thing with me. They sheltered me. I literally couldn't go anywhere without them. I had to, they're going to know this now, I had to lie to them just to get out of the house.
Wow.
And I think once they had like my other two sisters, I started to realize, okay, we need to let our kids be kids and do what they need to do for them to grow.
I feel like that usually happens, especially when
Yeah.
you have like multiple kids in a family unit.
Yeah.
Like the first one, you know, it was like strict, very disciplined. The other kids come and they realize, okay, we can let up a little bit in certain situations. So
Yeah.
I guess that's just the territory for being the first child. And then if you're an only child, well,
you get
just
spoiled like
whatever.
crazy.
No, see, that's the thing. A lot of people think that, but think about you as an only child. Like you're the first kid, but then the only kid. So then all you
Right.
ever got was that first experience or that first exchange as a parent. You know, it's
Yeah.
just like, because there wasn't someone else to come along the way to kind of like soften it up a bit. It's just like,
Yeah.
yes. But everyone's experience is different.
They're different. Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
before we go, I just want to ask a quick question.
Mhm.
Do you think you can marry yourself right now?
Do I think I could marry myself right now?
Mm-hmm. Do you
I've
think
never been married, but I know a lot of people who've
with
been
the qualities
married.
with the qualities that you have, would you marry yourself?
Would I marry myself currently, right
Yeah.
here today,
Right now.
as I am?
Yes. Yes.
I would get engaged to myself, but I
Okay.
wouldn't quite be ready to walk down the aisle,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
That
No.
makes sense.
How?
Huh?
What do you mean?
Oh, okay. So it's like you would commit to you,
Like
but you're
right.
not. But you not.
I'm
You're.
not fully ready for
The full
sign
commitment.
So is
sign
that
on the
basically?
dotted line.
Are you saying that you? Are you saying you're not ready to get married right now?
Basically, yes. Because she just
Yeah,
asked in the position that I am in right now, can I marry myself? And honestly, like I said, I would get engaged to myself, maybe in the next year or two. My answer will probably be like, yes, I'm ready to marry myself. But as of right now,
What will change in a year or two?
well, I don't know. There's just different things that I'm working on individually, as a person and in this current time in my life. And yeah, there's just certain things that I need to do and would like to get done before I would consider that. Or consider putting myself in that position with somebody else, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's
I
my
would
that's my
not
answer.
marry myself.
Why not, Tim?
Currently, as you are, you will not marry yourself.
Pardon?
Like in this current
Situation?
position,
Nope.
like
Period. I
There
would
you
not
go.
marry myself. I mainly because I want like I think that there's a bunch of aspects of my like I think I'd be a good partner to me,
Mm-hmm.
but the way that I would want some of the things that I want in a partner I don't have, and that's kind of why I want that in a partner. Like
Mm.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when am I like I'm forgetful. I'm I'm forgetful, and I can be messy,
Right.
and you can't like and but the thing is, I'm a super organized guy in my brain, but you know sometimes like time and my things like that gets mixed up. I take on too much, and then so
Mhm.
things just fall by the wayside. And like two people like that can't work. Like at least for like you could try and make it work, you could try and balance it out and stuff like that. But I know me, like you would try, but then something else. And if two people like me were intersecting in that way, something like that would cause a thing. And I literally that's that much of a thing for me that I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it, even though as a when it comes to the things that most people want in a partner, I try to be, but
Right.
it's never the nice things that people break up over. It's the little, it's the bad, it's the bad
Sometimes
things.
it is.
Sometimes, yeah.
No, but like, okay, so it's like, oh my God, he's just way like. Actually, I've heard that he's just way too, he's way too this or he's way too
Way
that
too
in good
nice,
things.
or
No, that's usually
she's
not.
too,
He's so
or
sweet to
people
me. I
say,
just
"Oh,
can't
they're
take it.
too
Like,
good for me,"
Yeah.
or people say, "Oh, they're too good for me," or they're too good.
that's
So I don't
usually
want to be with
bullshit.
this person because I feel like, well, yes, a lot of the
That's
time
usually
it is,
bullshit.
but there are sometimes genuinely some people just feel like they can't reciprocate that, so they're like, you know what, I don't want to take up this person's time because the
That means you
energy
just
that they're
don't like
putting out
him.
there.
You know what I mean? That just means you just don't like him. When you how many people really let go? You just saying, man, this person is just great. This person is awesome. Nah. And if you do, you regret it to the.
You might just think
I'm
you're
sure
not
there's regret, but some people do let people go because they feel like, I
they're
can't,
not good enough for
or
that person.
right,
That
or
person would
they're
be happier
not
with
at
someone
their
else.
standard,
Yeah.
or they're both not at the same playing field.
Yeah.
They can't give what that person's giving.
Yeah.
At least I feel like some people are nice enough to do that. There are some people who will hold on to that person knowing that they could never,
Right.
Mhm.
So.
But
Yeah.
okay, well, there's okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
See, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Okay, so like there's factors where it's
Right.
just, there's factors, right? But yeah. Okay. Sure.
Danny, what about
I'm
you?
sure it happens.
Oh yeah, it
Yes.
happens a lot. Happens more than you think.
And people are absolutely nuts.
Nah.
Maybe we're saying that because maybe happens to girls more. Who knows?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe happens to women more.
Maybe.
Maybe we're the ones on the receiving end of that. But then Tim's a man with a man's perspective, saying maybe they just don't like you. So who knows?
Who knows? Who knows?
That's what I think. It's like, oh my God, you're too good for me. Okay, for real, honestly, okay.
So if a girl said that to you, what would you say?
I would literally be like, you could just tell me the truth.
But what if she's saying, I am telling you the truth. I feel like I am not good enough for you. I feel like you can do 10 times better.
Maybe, but I like you, and I want you to be with me. So let's do it.
Okay.
Greg said,
oh my God, you're too good for me. You know what? You're right. See you later.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Okay,
like you might feel like that, but then that's I don't know. It could be a self-esteem issue.
That's the thing.
Like if I'm here loving on you, you know what I mean? Like if someone's actually loving you, and they're not doing it. It's like this ain't charity. I like you.
Right.
You know what I mean? But again,
it could be a self-esteem thing.
It could be, but a lot of times it's just like you're really nice, you're really sweet, but I'm I'm not into it right now, or I'm not in that
Wow, Greg.
place
Sorry.
for it. I'm doing my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
To answer my own question, I don't think I would marry myself right now. I'm not where I'd want to be to marry myself.
Okay. So basically what we're saying is there's not going to be any weddings that we're going to be attending anytime soon.
Nope. Definitely not.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I wouldn't marry me. I love to, you know,
Right.
like, yo.
So you're saying there's a wedding in the next 5 years?
Well, I'm not saying that either, but I am saying that, like, I definitely want someone to, I think it's just wise for someone who has strengths where I have weaknesses. I think if you're asking, like, if I'd be a good husband, I think I'd be a great husband. But I just wouldn't marry, I wouldn't marry a girl like me. Just like me, oh my God, oh, yeah, no. And that's just one aspect. Like, that's just one aspect, you know what I mean? Like, I have my sizable list of faults. And I would just, you know what I mean?
We all have our
on
faults.
top of all the like the good things, right? And the things that I look for, like attraction and all these things, I think it's dope. Let's say she's more organized than me. It's like score.
Right.
Just because I think you can help me out a little bit. Can you give me a reminder that, like, help me not double book gigs? Like,
yeah.
And, you know,
that's the thing with the relationship. You guys have to
the areas that I have some strengths that, you know, I think that's how you make a good unit. You know what I mean? Where you play off of each other, you know? We're helping each other. We're building with each other and all that.
Yeah,
Can I ask a question before we go?
So
you guys have had, you know, pardon me?
I said no. No, I was kidding.
Oh, I was like, oh, she knows what I'm about to ask. No, you know, Tim, you know, you've talked about, you know, your separation and stuff. You've been married and stuff. You guys have been married and stuff in the past. So back then, if you were to ask yourself that question, would the answer have been yes or would it have been no?
No.
Am I looking at today's eyes or in yesterday's eyes? Like today,
Whatever
looking at me back then?
Like either or, however you choose to answer the question. So
honestly, I'll tell you,
at that point in time, did you think you were ready for or would you have married yourself? Like you knew you were about to get married, and if you asked yourself that question, would I marry myself? Would you have said yes or would you have said no?
I would have said no.
Going back to that headspace.
I would have said no.
You'd have said no?
Back then, I'd have probably said yeah.
Interesting.
I'd have probably said yes back then. You know, I was a different guy. Like, and I was Mr. You know what I mean? I was just a church boy, and you know what I mean? You have a good job, and you're like, you know, I never got myself in any trouble, and all those things that look good. But I hadn't really experienced life at all yet. Me looking at that guy now, it's like that guy had no business getting married. He had no business getting married. Like, you know what I mean? At that time of my life, I never really had dealt with. I got married at 28, and I don't think I had dealt with anything. Like, I'd never been, like, my family had never really let me down. Like, I'd never really dealt with any, like, real stuff that affected me, that caused me to take a step back and actually look at myself and the man that I was developing to be. I was just following, and I was listening, and I was, you know, I was a good citizen. But as a man, I didn't know. Like, that guy, no, he should not have. You know, I had this conversation with my ex. You know, like, I was not looking at what I think at a man and a husband and all that should be. That wasn't that guy. As good as he was a good guy. You know what I mean? But like, and walking to the situation and learning about what I didn't know, I would have needed, and no offense to her, but I would have needed somebody that didn't how do you say this? Who didn't need me to be that guy. Do you know what I'm saying? Or someone who was just always, like they're always filling in for, you know what I mean? You ever see the dudes where, like, all the TV shows, you got Homer, you got Marge. You know what I mean? You got Ray Romano, or what's his name? Everybody loves Ray, and you have his you know what I mean? Like, she's really running the show. You know
Yeah.
what I needed? You know what I'm saying? Like that guy might have needed that, you know. But the thing is, I wouldn't have. I really like
You needed
where I really like where I got to though. Like with all the with what I learned, and it's unfortunate that the collateral to learning sometimes can be so much pain. That's the
Yeah.
shitty part,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, that's the part that really there's collateral. There's collateral to that. Here, I was like, yeah, I learned, but I hurt a lot of people in my
In
learning.
that process. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I let people down in that process, and it's gonna. You can say it's gonna happen in life and stuff, but that's something that I have to carry with me, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, looking back at him, yeah, no, he was a boy. You know, he had a bunch of check marks, like you know what I mean, all the things that you would think a guy that's going to get married should have, but he was a boy.
But like internally or on an individual level, there was a lot of work to be done. Is what you're saying.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Same
Okay.
here.
Well, thank you for answering that question. That was
Anytime.
I was curious about that.
Yeah, putting us on the spot there, Kiki.
You guys put me on the spot all the time.
Touche. So, Kendra, when you get engaged, I'll be like, Kendra, remember that one question? I'm going to bring that back.
Okay. Sounds good. Hopefully, well, no. Either way, I'll be ready for it.
Okay.
Put it that way.
All right, cool.
Put it that way. I'll be ready for it.
Cool.
Yes.
Well, we've hit our hour mark. I think that was a good conversation. I feel like a few of these topics we can talk about next week just to elaborate more on those topics. So on that note, make sure you follow us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, ring the notification bell so you know every time we upload. I feel like I need to say that every time. I almost want to say, click the notification down there. But
click on the next video over here.
On the next video over here. And this is the one that YouTube wants you to watch.
Oh my goodness.
I want you guys to have a great Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your week. I know there's a ton of events happening for Black History Month this weekend. Whichever one you decide to go to, enjoy it to the fullest. See you guys. Stay
come
safe.
See us.
What?
I said come see us.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just putting in a plug because we're performing at one.
We're performing on Saturday in St. Albert. You know, it's just a little thing. You know.
Come on.
Come check out and support TrinCam.
Yeah. It's been a minute since we've jammed like this. So.
Preach. It's been too long.
Yes.
But on that note, have a good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.